And we return
Okay,
to
let's.
Challenger League. It is round 6. We are in the Spanish city of Maralgia for this lovely sprint qualifying that we're just getting started along with. Let's follow Zalinda, why not? Joined by Kuba as always as we get these laps underway.
Hello, Jeff crashed.
Ooh, that is an issue that's going around the parts. I'm not too sure what we can do about that. Let's keep our eyes on a few other drivers. Eurus is making good time so far. Kobe is also making a decent lap. I think Vlad is also on the way as well. Jeff joins back, but he will have to start from the back of the grid as the drivers make their way to the line. It's going to be Saucy on pole. Quite the surprise there. The Singaporean with a 35.20 to get on pole, and a 10th ahead of Kraft, who is looking for a 9th straight win. But it's a big
That is
gap
quite
to the
something.
next. It is a big gap to the next two drivers. Vlad and Gwetzley tied on a 35.88. We'll inhabit the second row. Nigma and Zalinda 5th and 6th. As we head to drivers over a second slower than the pole time. Bobcats will fill 7th and 8th. Eurus ahead of Vigoria. Kamikaze and Alexei Drozdov will complete the top 10. Then we've got Kada, Kissia, Game on Goose, Fabricio, Crunk, and Jeff rounding us out. Well, big
surprise there,
big
yeah.
surprise, and therefore an expectation going into our sprint race. And the thing is that Saucy does have a bit of that ping with them, so maybe Kraft could get in some trouble. But there's also the good chance that Kraft might be able to get away. It's not a bad spot to be in P2, especially on this circuit. As drivers will head to the grid. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the sprint race. And Saucy is getting swamped, and Gwetzley makes the move actually. Through the inside, he's going to take the lead into turn 2. And Kraft is falling down the order. Kissia making a big mistake, but Gwetzley is away. Oh my god, more shoves over here. Zalinda fighting the wall, Eurus as well. But it's going to be Gwetzley heading down the back straight into this hairpin. Enigma in P2, Saucy, Vlad, then Kraft in P5. Figuera, Kamikaze, Zalinda, Alexei. But the big talking point now is Gwetzley is in the lead, and by a big distance, Kraft is fighting his way through though. He's going to get squeezed into the inside by Saucy, still trying to make his way through the pack, and he's already back on Gwetzley's tail now. As we enter the middle of lap 2, Saucy makes a move. It was a pretty good one too, and he gets through into first place now. What a move that was. Kraft falling back to 4th, and Gwetzley into 3rd, making a bit of a mistake will bring him down behind Kraft, who's trying to make a move on the outside of Enigma. Saucy makes a mistake and lets Enigma get through to the lead of the race. Enigma makes a mistake. It's a huge clutter from the drivers here. Kraft finding a bit of a struggle with the lag there, but he will hold the inside, and he is in the lead. It's a 6-car, almost 7-car battle for this lead, but it looks like Kraft has gotten away from those early struggles, and he's pulled away from the pack now. Saucy behind, Enigma, Gwetzley, Eurus, Vlad. Then it's Kobe and Zalinda, who are not too far away from this pack despite being 8 and 9. Ooh. Kobe finding some issues.
Crazy stuff.
Behind them as well. Jeff and Alexi at the back of that pack, and it's Goose and Kissia, Crunk, and Fabricio has actually made a pit stop. I'm not sure too why as that has gone on, but it's Kraft a second and a half ahead of Gwetzley and Saucy. Gwetzley's made an error and he's lost 3 positions in a single corner. It's Enigma now to P2 as the cars in front of that leading pack all make mistakes. It's blocking off Eurus, who's made a bit of a recovery into the potential podium now. It will be the podium, getting past Saucy on the hairpin. Ooh, big fight there. Gwetzley was looking so good at the start there, but now it's P5 for him, trying to get past Saucy as they start lap 5. It's going to be Enigma following 2 seconds back from Kraft in the lead. It's Eurus now on the podium. Saucy behind him in 4th. Gwetsley trying to make a dive, a bit too risky there. Celinda gets past and into P6. Vlad in P7 after that mistake earlier. And then further behind, it's Jeff in 8th. From the back of the grid doing a decent job. Kata in P9, Kobe and Figuria fighting it out in P10 and 11. Alexi in 12th. Then Goose and Kissia a fair bit behind him, and it's a bigger gap from those two to Krunk, but Kissia's making Goose work really hard for this position. I'm going back to the leader because the gap has effectively stayed the same. Kraft, I'm not sure if he's made too many mistakes now, but Enigma is essentially matching his pace, but he does have to contend with some drivers alongside him. He makes a dive early into that hairpin. It's not going to prove him too well as Eurus retains 2nd for the moment, and it's a bit of a squirrely situation getting out of that little parkside area of the track in the second half of that. Still, it's Eurus leading, but Enigma gets past on the big sweeper starting the lap. Eurus makes a grave error into that hairpin, and it's allowed Saucy past as well into P3. All the while, Kraft is just running away with this one. Almost 4 seconds in front.
Yeah, they're really battling a lot of battles between Gwetsley and Saucy and Eurus and Enigma, and it's just losing them more time as everyone wants to get in front.
I mean, the issue here is that, like, with how worn the tyres are, you can't really make too much of a big difference on a gap like that. So it feels like Kraft might have slipped away for his 9th straight victory. Kind of making a bit of an error there, getting squeezed into the wall as Linda and Vlad is fallen into P8 and now has Jeff on his sights, hoping to take that 1 point that 8th place gives him. Kata also has the fast slap, so he's already got 1 banked in as we speak. For now though, let's go back to P2 because Enigma is starting the 3rd to last lap, and he's a full second ahead of Saucy, who is still having to fight with Eurus and Gwetsley for that last position on the podium. Eurus makes a big dive, and it's not going to work out. But he's still not too far away, and he feels like he has better pace than Saucy, so he should be able to make the distance back up. For now, Gwetsley is still being tailed. He's not safe in P5 at all. Vlad and Zelinda right on his heels, and right behind them, Kata and Jeff. It's a big train between P2 and P9 at the moment. Further back is Kobe and Figuria sticking to each other as they have all race. Kissia, Alexi, Goose, Krunk, Fabrizio almost getting lapped now by Kraft, who is 5 seconds ahead and almost 6 seconds ahead of the lead. It's Enigma in 2nd. Saucy in 3rd. Vlad has gotten himself all the way into P4 now as I've turned away, and he's really gotten this battle. 5-way fight for P4 now as Saucy might be able to get away with that podium now. Eurus makes a mistake.
Yeah,
what? Squeezed.
What had happened is that Gwetsley got caught up to by the pack, and then later on Eurus also got caught up to by the pack, and now you've got this big pack. Gwetsley has dropped down to 7th currently, and looks just crazy.
Very tight here. Zelinda is making a move into Eurus. It's going side by side with the hairpin. We're going to have to cut through the action though because Kraft is rounding the final corner and he is going to finish in 1st for another sprint race. Enigma will pull off a sensational P2 and Saucy will complete the podium P3. Kata is fighting Eurus to the line and it looks like Kata has just gotten past him at the very tail. Eurus 5th, Gwetsley 6th. Zelinda 7th, and Vlad will take that final point in 8th. Jeff, not a bad showing in 9th, given the troubles in quali. Kobe in 10th. Figuera in 11th, and Alexi, Cassia, Goose, Krunk just rounding the corner and taking P15, and Fabrizio finishes as the last driver on the floor, or he's gonna
finish backwards.
He's gonna roll backwards to the line to end our proceedings here. Wow.
There you have it. Kraft with the 9-win streak sets a new record 4 CL wins in a row. Will he continue that with the feature race? That's the question.
That is a question. And, you know, he did find some troubles in the first few laps, but really was able to storm home past that. Though you'd have to wonder if something bigger happens, could that really put a dent on Kraft? Because a lot of that gap he gained between him and Enigma and Saucy was mainly through the battling that was happening behind them. Because you can see that gap there. Enigma got away from the chasing pack, and there's a 6 seconds between 3rd and 9th. Which is, quite the tight pack, especially the group from 4th to 7th in particular. But yeah, what a race, and that'll hopefully give us some optimism into our feature if we can see more action like that.
Yep, 28 laps for the feature race, completely dry, 3 laps of qualifying.
It's gonna be interesting too with how the strategies turn on. This is a real it's a real interesting track because it feels like the soft tires really die off quickly, but the undercut is so powerful here. So it's going to be really it's a real determining factor on who's going to win this race. Is judging just how many pit stops you can make.
It's 28 laps, right?
28, yes.
Yes, 28 laps.
Because realistically, the softs. If you go only softs, it'll be a potential 4-stop. But hards can make that as if you really want to stretch it, as low as a 1-stop even. But yeah, it's just judging between those options you have, and the mediums are also a decent tool here as well. If you need that slight speed boost without dying off quickly. But yeah, it's going to be a real tussle to see who can get that strategy off better than anyone else, and also who can get away from the pack and maybe make the strategy less relevant to them, as we've seen in previous feature races. And speaking of, we are lining straight up for the qualifying here.
The pole position in JL was, I believe, 33.6. So that is, we'll see how the CL drivers do in relation to that.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see maybe a few tenths shaven off that. This is a pretty difficult track in terms of everything you need to get right for a very fast lap around here. The tight streets of Maralgia are quite punishing to many a driver, both seasoned and new alike. Just gonna follow Saucy on this first lap. Pretty good performance, all things considered. The pole position into converting into a podium. Not a bad effort at all. They're going to be rounding the final quarter, making a bit of a mistake in that last corner, so it's not going to be a representative time. It's a 34.70 from Saucy that puts him in P9. Kraft has headed the pack, and it's 2 drivers already alongside Enigma who have gotten past that JL barrier. Kraft with a 33.28 to set the benchmark.
Enigma, of course, being the person who set the barrier in the first place, and he's improved on his JL time.
It's very good to see. Wetsley and Kissir is a surprise name in P4. We'll see if that can hold on a bit longer, as a few drivers are going to be improving. Kata up to P4, Vlad into P3. I think UR2D2 improved to P7. We're seeing the times tumble down quite a little bit, but it's still those two in front with quite a decent gap on the rest of the field. Maybe a mistake from Enigma there. He might not be able to improve on that 33.5. We'll have to see.
Graf nearly.
Figueroa with 33.65 has gotten into P3, and that might be it, yeah.
Kami improves to P5 in his home race.
Oh wow. Look at that huge, like, the top two had a pretty decent gap to the rest of the field, but just 2 tenths separating 4th from P10 there. And in particular, 5th and 9th separated by 900ths. Quite impressive how tight the field is here, but it's Kraft on pole position. Enigma will follow on the front row. Figueroa and Vlad will occupy the second row. Brilliant performance from both of them, I'd say. Kamikaze in P5, then Gwetzli, Kata, Kissia, Urist, and Saucy rounding out the top 10. Further behind them, it's Jeff and Alexi in P11, sorry. Then Jeff in P12, Zalinda, Fabricio, Goose, and Crunk. Wow. And all things considered, I'd say that was a pretty well-rounded qualifying. Very tight times all around, with the majority of the drivers being within a second of the leader, which is genuinely pretty difficult to do on this track. It's so technical, so demanding, and the walls really chase up on you when you're making those corners. So now the real questions start to bring in as it comes to the strategy and where the drivers will start, what tyres they will start on. We've got one part of that solved already, as the drivers head to the grid now for a bit of maybe some chicken here. It seems a lot of softs, but few people switching onto the hard tyre. Hards are pretty strong on this track. 5 red lights, and we're seeing primarily softs from the majority of the field, including the front two. It's a big dive from Kobe into the first corner there, but it's Enigma and Kraft leading the way. Kraft is holding out. Oh, big shove there. Gwetzli getting a bit of copping the brunt of it. Kobe finding a way through 3 cars at once in a single corner, but it's got to be Kraft and Enigma, the top 2 heading out. Saucy makes a huge dive. Vlad gets a lot of speed there, and it's going to be Kata holding on to P3. Saucy into 4th. Figueroa on the hard tyres in 5th. Gwetzli in 6th on the mediums as we complete one lap. Wow. Big collisions.
A lot of really
wide there.
A lot of great performing JL drivers in CL today. Big Saucy running up in 4th at the moment. Enigma, of course. Figueroa up in 5th. And Zalender had a good performance to get points in the sprint as well. Fabricio currently running in 12th, so they're really showing themselves to be quite solid for any potential CL team owners who might be interested in them in the future.
Speaking of, Enigma with the fastest lap of the race is right on Kraft's tail now, and he's looking to hold on to that position for the time being. Makes a bit of an error though. It might invite his VO teammate today in Kata back into the mix as well, because he is running in P3, which would be a pretty good result for the team all up. Then it's Saucy, Gwetzli, and Figueroa following, and it looks like the Riker and the Bobcat are just trying to make those hards and mediums work out. There's only Gwetzli and Alexi are on the mediums to start us off, and Figueroa and Urist. And Urist and Zalinda pit, actually. What is going on there?
Maybe they got forced in.
Oh, that might have been a very terrible little incident there. It's 2 drivers forced into the pits, and it's going to be a long way back from there. Actually, it looks like Zalinda didn't go in. It was just Urist shoved into the pit lane, unfortunately. But further in front, it's Kraft. He's actually he's lost Enigma by a little bit, but I think Enigma actually caught him down a bit that last lap. But Kata is also chasing them down as well, so it's quite curious there. Enigma making another mistake. Kata's got his slipstream. Will the two play nice with each other? Kata really wants this position. It looks like he's got him into that hairpin, into that double left-hand corner. And yeah, Kata up into P2, but Enigma is fighting him right back. He's actually gotten back in front of him as we head into turn 1. Kata tries to make a switchback. He gains some ground, but doesn't quite make the position stick. And it's going to be Enigma holding on to P2. Figueroa on the hard tyres now. Into 4th, as Crunk makes a pit stop as well. Gwetzli in P5, then Saucy, Jeff, Vlad, Kobe, and Fabricio in P10. Cassia, Alexi, Goose, Zelinda, Urist, Crunk there. Urist and Crunk making those stops earlier. And we see another pit stop, and it's Enigma in after 6 laps on the soft tyre is going in for the hards. So, first stop, and Enigma might be able to pull off an undercut here. It's going to be
Goyra already back at the back of Kader.
Well, he's made some good time here. You can really feel
he's really getting a lot, especially since he's on hard, so this will benefit him even more while the other drivers pit. And similar to Guetzel on the mediums.
Ooh, Figueroa actually getting past him, and Kader is going to have to dive down into the pits, and Kraft is also in the pits, so Figueroa has led a lap. Guetzel on the
that is quite something.
Kraft comes out in P3, and he's actually come out 2 seconds ahead of Enigma. Not sure what happened with that. It really seems that the undercut has not worked out there. Kader in P5, then it's Saucy, Jeff, and Game on Goose is fighting with Vlad in P8. Kobe also in that fight, pitting onto the hards. Big shove there, Goose getting out alright. Urist is in that mix as well, pitting earlier, but he's still got a lot of fighting to do. Wetzley coming out onto the hard tyres. He's pulled in for that stop. Figueroa still in the lead as they are starting lap 9. Got a 4-way fight still for P8. It's Kobe looking to eke ahead. Goose tries to stop there. Kobe goes super wide. And Goose and Vlad also go really wide into that hairpin as well. And Urist is just watching these drivers make a mess of the track, and Urist gets past Goose there quite cleanly. Let's go back to this fight.
I have to say also, Urist was talking about lag stutters earlier, which might be impacting his ability to race, but he has managed to recover to top 10 and to fight for points.
The issue now is we'll head to the lead because Figueroa has just let Kraft by. Kraft has taken the lead of the race, and the next car on his strategy is 4 seconds back. So you got to think. I think Kraft might be on for a 3-stopper here, using only softs, which would be interesting. That he can hold on to the softs for 8 laps, and make that stick. But yeah, Figueroa is trying to hold on as best he can onto those hard tires. Maybe even make a 2-stop work if they decide to pit now. Enigma 4 seconds back from Figueroa. Kader in P4. Then it's Saucy a further 3 seconds back from him. He's fighting Guetzel, and Guetzel on the fresher tyres. He's just on his slipstream for now. Jeff pulling into P7. Vlad in P8. And you can see the majority of the drivers have got onto hard tyres, except for a few in the front of the pack. Figueroa onto the medium tyres now. Maybe going on one set of mediums into another for a 2-stop is what I figure his strategy to be. But he gets out in P4, which would be a lovely position for him to finish, though he might have the advantage of fresher tyres across the rest of the race compared to his fellow drivers here. Saucy and Guetzel still fighting each other. Saucy forcing Guetzel wide into the gravel on the side there, and it looks like he's gotten away with it. And Guetzel is also under pressure from Jeff now as the two make contact, leading onto the start-finish straight here. Guetzel also has to yield there. Looks like the softs are just too much, even in their rugged condition for Jeff at the moment. But let's go back to the leader. Kraft is lapping Crunk and is 6 seconds in front of Enigma, which is a bit of a disaster with that strategy, unfortunately, and that general pace. But it is a big deal. It is a big ask for some of the drivers here, stepping from JL, having to fight Kraft, who has been really on form, both in CL and in UL, of course. It is still a VEO23. Enigma heading Kader for the time being. Kader's softs really dying out now, and I think he's going to be in for a pit stop very soon, as Kraft also enters the pits. And we're going to see what Enigma does here. Enigma stays out. Kraft onto another set of soft tyres. Figueroa passes Kader into the podium position. Kata is also going to lose a position to Gwetsley, so he comes out in P5. Gwetsley may also be going for that 2-stop strategy. His hard's looking quite well worn now. Figueroa has also made a 4.5, almost 5-second gap to Gwetsley, so that is a position I think is going to be well covered out there. Kata just trying to get past Gwetsley here. He's gone wide, Gwetsley's gone wide, but it's Kata through into P4. And he'll be looking to make a charge, potentially to catch his teammate, who is still on track on the hard tyres. He's fighting with Kraft at the moment. And he's going to try and make life difficult for him. But the grip just isn't there anymore. Enigma is losing out big time now. Speaking of Figueroa is still in P3 and he's actually catching up to Enigma. So Enigma has got to make a big decision. Because like he's been on those hards for quite a while. And I'm not sure if he's going for a 2-stop. But the hards have just not been working out for him, unfortunately.
Did he start on the softs?
He started on the softs but made early pit stop, so he's on 11 lap hards at the moment.
Yeah, then I believe he's probably gonna pit at the end of this lap for another set of 11 lap hards.
Yeah,
6, 11, 11.
Interesting strat, but I feel like Figueroa on pace has just been better, so he might have to, it might potentially not be a VO2-3 when we come to the line. Figueroa taking P2 now as Enigma heads into the pits for another set of hard tyres. And that also puts him well behind his teammate in Kata, almost by 3 seconds. Wow. So Enigma into P4. Jeff is now in P5, and he still has another stop to do. And so there's Saucy behind him in P6. Further behind, though, it's Gwetsley on the mediums. So interesting, he's pitted for the mediums very recently. So I'm not sure if he's willing to make the mediums go all the way to the end. It'll be quite the struggle if he can make that happen, but it might prove plentiful if he can get a few positions through that strategy. Urist on the medium tyres still definitely has 1 stop to go for, and so does Vlad on some fresh soft tyres, which Urist will try to use for some slipstreaming. Kamikaze is sitting in P10, has just pitted for hards, and he's looking to sit on those hards for the rest of the race, I believe.
Yeah, it has to be.
Fabricio and Zelinda fighting for 13th. Then it's Alexi and Crunk. But yeah, Kraft now midway through lap 20.
Figueroa pits.
Yeah, Figueroa pitting for a second set of mediums, and the mediums for 8 laps will definitely make it to the end. No problems there, so should be a good time for them as they try to make some ground on both Kata and Enigma. It's going to be Kraft holding a 9-second lead as we start lap 21. He's also got the fastest lap of the race, so he's looking at maximum points for this feature race here. Go further back, it's Kata.
Yep, although
still 3 seconds.
Although I believe it was someone else who got the fastest lap for the sprint.
Yeah, it's not full points for the whole weekend, but it is full points for the feature.
Yeah, and the feature is of course worth more points, so as back there he goes into the pits, Kraft.
Yeah, that will be his last stop, and he's going in for one last set of soft tyres, and so is Kata, which will leave his teammate Enigma into P2, which means Kata has got to do some catching up to do, because he's let Enigma through, Enigma's not going to pit, and it's Figueroa is also through, and Figueroa is not going to pit either. So he's got 3 seconds to Figueroa, and another second to his teammate. Gwetsley in P5, still running, but I feel like he needs to pit for one more set of tyres, preferably the softs at this rate. But it looks like the race just hasn't
I'm not sure.
He's wanted it to.
I'm not sure why he's picked the medium, but a lot of the drivers behind him, like Vlad and Urist, will definitely have to pit again. Jeff, however, and Saucy are on very fresh softs, so that was probably their last pit. And there in goes Gwetsley.
Yeah, there he goes. Gwetsley in. Urist is in as well.
Vlad is not.
Yeah. Jeff into P6. Saucy into P7, Guetzli comes out just ahead of Kamikaze, and that'll be work to do for Urus now, who's into P10, who was, after that little shove early in the race, has made the recovery into the points. Zalinda a long way back in P11, and it's Fabrizio, Alexi, Cassia, Goose, and Krunk. A lot of the drivers further back on the grid have opted for the hard tyres, while the ones in the front have really gone on for the softs.
In goes Vlad, getting undercut by everyone.
And there he goes, he's in the P9 now. He's just ahead of Urus, barely, but yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do if he's going to be finishing higher than 9th today. So we're going to go back to the leader, who is, it's actually gotten caught up a little bit. Maybe a little, but Enigma also is going to really find himself struggling on these last 4 laps to hold on to that
Figueira
P2.
closed them.
Figueira is within a second now, and he's closing quite quickly. Kata is making a... He's been driving well, but it looks like Figueira just has him in terms of pace at the moment. It's about a 2.5 second gap, so he's only made up about half a second in the past 3 or 4 laps now. Figueira still a second behind Enigma. He's struggling for dear life on those hard tyres to hold on to P2, and Figueira is looking to make a big splash for a very first CL race, I believe.
Yep, that's right. He is quite a talent today. He looks to be very solid in terms of pace and in terms of knowing when to avoid battling, when to slipstream. So he's quite impressive in that regard.
We'll go back to Jeff, who is sitting in P5. It looks like he won't be troubled too much. Guetzli and Saucy just behaving themselves now. It's a massive shove there from Vlad. It's a 3-way fight for P7 at the moment. And Kobe is trying to hold on for dear life on these well-worn hard tyres. Both him and Urus, he's effectively taking out each other there. And Vlad is still finding a problem there. Urus tries to make a move. Feel like he's got it, but Kamikaze has the better exit. And has the inside. He's making such a struggle in these corners. It's really affecting Urus' ability to get past. And Vlad is past him now. Vlad is past Kobe, as they're about to get lapped by Kraft, who is on the final lap. So Kobe is finally given way to Urus. So Urus still has a lap to go to get Vlad and potentially get that P8. But it is going to be Kraft on the lead lap, grounding the final 2 corners. It has been inevitable today. It's a 10th straight victory for Kraft. And it's going to be a tight race to the line for P2. Figueira fighting Enigma to the very end, but it looks like the JL driver has gotten away with it today. Just 900 separating the two. Kata finishing in P4. Then it's going to be Jeff pulling around to P5 after that trouble at the beginning of the weekend. Guetzli slowing down, finishes P6. Saucy in 7th. It's going to be Vlad in P8. And then Urus and Kobe to complete the top 10 here. Some pretty wide gaps between the drivers as they cross the line here. The field really spreading out here. Zalinda finishing in P11, then it's Fabrizio, Kissia, and Alexi. Goose just following in line now as Krunk still has half a lap to complete. But yeah, Kraft throwing the donuts in. Jeff also throwing in some donuts for his teammate. It is history today in Maralgia for this team, for Heritage Performance, for Kraft, the flying fin of UR2D.
Look at his fastest lap as well, a 33.28, same as his pole time, I believe.
He must have improved that during his last stint, for sure. And it's a 10-second gap to the next driver, and it's Kraft. Impressive throughout the weekend. Near faultless weekend for him, and it's near max points. Figueira, impressive debut in CL, was a decent result in the sprint, but a massive P2 in the feature. Barely hung on to second to Enigma in P3. The Volpe Ioka's 3 and 4. Enigma also showing off his speed. Could have been a little bit more, but he's going to be quite pleased with third. Katter in P4. Then it's Jeff, Gwetsley, Saucy, a decent P7. Vlad, Urist recovering from that really awkward situation early in the race to get 9th, and Kobe getting that final point for 10th. It's Zalinda driving decently well, I'd say, for a JL driver, of course, having to deal with the extra, just getting used to the game, of course, and just really finding that groove that some of the other drivers have already gotten a lot better at. Fabrizio in P12, Kizia in 13th, then it's Alexi, Goose, and Crunk rounding the field. Well, I'd say that was a quite interesting set of races we had today. And, yeah, good return to form for Challenger League as we will head off next week as we continue through the season. We are heading to the lovely continent of Africa. We're heading to Kailami for the South African Grand Prix next weekend. Hope to see you there, and take care.